MES College, Marambally, e-learning.
Hello everyone, I am Rasya Karim, Assistant Professor, Department of Biosciences, MES College, Marambally. Welcome to my lecture on Mendelianism. Mendelian inheritance is a type of biological inheritance that follows the principles originally proposed by Gregor Mendel in 1865 and 1866. The modern science of heredity starts with the experiments of Mendel on the garden pea Pisum sativum, and he is appropriately called the father of genetics. Mendel was born in 1822 near Brunn in Austria. In his experiments, he tried to crossbreed plants that had discrete, non-overlapping characteristics and then to observe the distribution of these characteristics over the next several generations. Mendel selected the garden pea plant Pisum sativum and his experimental plant because of several advantages exhibited by the plant. The pea plant was comparatively easy to cultivate and it took only one growing season for the production of one generation. The pea plant had discontinuous characteristics such as flower color and pea texture. The pea plant is normally self-fertilizing. Cross-fertilization is also possible. Normally, self-fertilization occurs when pollen falls onto the stigma before the bud opens. Mendel cross-fertilized the plants by opening the keel of a flower before the anthers matured and placing pollen from another plant on the stigma. This is the structure of garden pea plant. The female part, the pistil is composed of the stigma, its supporting style and the ovary. The male part, the stamen, is composed of the pollen producing anther and its supporting filament. In the pea plant, Mendel tested 7 characters and studied their pattern of inheritance. First character is flower color, the dominant is purple and the recessive character is white. Second character, flower position, axial is dominant, terminal is recessive. Then seed color, yellow and green color. Then seed shape, round is the dominant character, recessive character is wrinkled. Pod shape, inflated is dominant, constricted is recessive. Pod color, green is the dominant character and yellow is recessive. The last character is stem length, tall is the dominant and the dwarf is recessive. Then law of segregation. Mendel focused on the study of inheritance of one trait at a time. In an experiment, Mendel crossed white and purple flowered pea plant to investigate how color was inherited. This type of crossing between parents differing in only one trait or in which only one trait is being considered is termed monohybrid cross. This is the experiment. Mendel crossed with a purple flowered race of garden pea with a white flowered one. F1 hybrid is purple flower is the first filial generation. Mendel allowed the F1 plant to self-fertilize and raised a second generation called the second filial generation or F2. F2 generation included both purple and white flowered plant in the ratio of approximately 3:1. Mendel repeated this experiment, making crosses between different contrasting traits of each of the 7 characters he took into consideration. Based on his studies, Mendel believed that the characters were not transmitted directly from generation to generation. Characters of the plant are controlled by a pair of genes which are transmitted from parents to offspring. Mendel's conclusions were thus based on the concept of unit characters determined by unit gene. Mendel developed a hypothesis to explain the 3:1 inheritance patterns he observed in F2 offspring. 4 related concepts make up this model. First concept is allele. Allele is alternative forms of genes. Then second concept, for each character an organism inherits 2 alleles, one from each parent. Mendel made this deduction without knowing about the role of chromosomes. The two alleles at a particular locus may be identical as in the true breeding plant of Mendel's parental generation. Alternatively, the two alleles at a locus may differ as in the F1 hybrid. Third concept is principle of dominance. Mendel also explained that when a pair of contrasting traits are brought together in a cross, only one trait appeared in the F1. He called the trait appeared in the F1 dominant and the trait suppressed in the F1 recessive. Purple is a dominant trait and the white is a recessive trait. Then fourth concept is law of segregation. Mendel assumed that every individual has a pair of factors for each character and that the two members of each pair separate when the gametes are formed and only one member of each pair can go to a gamete. This is the law of segregation, also known as Mendel's first law. The law of independent assortment. Mendel identified his second law of inheritance by following two characters at the same time. Crossing two true breeding parents differing in two characters produces dihybrids in the F1 generation, heterozygous for both characters. A dihybrid cause. A cross between F1 hybrids can determine whether two characters are transmitted to offspring as a package or independently. Then is the experiment. Yellow round is the dominant character, then green ringle is the recessive character. Yellow round is crossed with green ringle. F1 hybrid is yellow round. F1 hybrid is self-fertilized. As a result of this, a dihybrid gives rise to 4 types of gametes are produced. When fertilization takes place, the 4 types of egg cells combine with 4 types of sperm cells to produce 16 possible combinations as given in the gametic checkerboard. However, this F2 generation include only 4 phenotypic classes in the ratio of 9:3:3:1. 9 is yellow round, 3 yellow ringled, then 3 green round and 1 green ringled. This is a recessive character. Using a dihybrid cause, Mendel developed the law of independent assortment. When two or more pairs of contrasting characters and the genes responsible for them are involved in a cross, the two factors of each pair separate and act independently in hereditary transmission. In other words, each character is free to combine with any other character in inheritance. Each member of a pair of allele may combine randomly with either of another pair. Law of independent assortment has no universal application, as independent assortment of alleles occurs only when they reside on different chromosomes. If they reside on the same chromosomes, they are always influenced by linkage and they tend to be inherited together and not independently. Mendel's observation and conclusions are summarized in the following: first, laws of inheritance, principle of dominance, law of segregation and the law of independent assortment. So, this is all about Mendelism. Hope you got the basic ideas of Mendelism. Thanks for watching.